down to 6, going to 7, going to 8, going to 9, going to 10, keeping the axis tilt. The side view of the shot looks this way. Again, I'm just rotating up very quickly, back on down. Okay? For a little angle here, up. Okay? It's amazing how consciously you have to learn these elements, but then once they're applied and you break it down, you know each little step you must incorporate into the overall network, and these are little sub-programs being developed and worked into the overall program as one unit working as one whole, as one framework. Then it's amazing how I can just set up to the ball. I already had the radius locks monitored. I just have to make sure I be aware of my left foot alignment, and basically it's just a rotation up, rotating through the ball. Okay? Rotation up, bang, through the ball. If I go in this direction, up the plane, bang. See the axis tilt? Club going up. Okay. You don't see any of this action going on here. Okay, that's right-handed. Left-handed, we have again, setting up at the address position, going to section 2, up to section 3, up to section 4, down to 5, down to 6, going to 7, going to 8, up to 9, down to 10. Okay? Setting up very slowly here. Okay? Again, going to the top. Okay? One more. Okay? From a little side view here. Taking the club up. Okay? A couple more. Full view. Top. Okay? Another one. Forward. Okay? And a couple this way. Going up the plane. Okay. Let's establish now our ideas dealing with the radius locks. Okay. One of the first points of radius locks, there are 8 of them in the golf swing. First one we're going to deal with is called the Foveal field visual perceptual lock. That incorporates my understanding of keeping the image of the golf ball. As you look downward to the golf ball, your line of sight, once you set up at address and you look downward to the ball, you want to make sure that as you look downward, you want to keep the image of the golf ball in the center of the pupil. That is basically called your foveal field. If I look, so I can see my hands moving, but I'm looking directly at the camera, that's my perceptual field picking it up. You got to get everything into the center of the foveal field, the pupil of the eye. The old cliche that when you swing the club up, you got to keep your head still. Well, the reason why they say you must keep your head still so that you can keep the image of the golf ball in the center of the foveal field of the eye. Because now, why is that? Because if you do lose the foveal field of the image of the ball staying in the center of the retina, the brain loses its postural support guidance system to move the arms and the limbs in its direction around the axis, back down to impact, and up the plane. You've got to know that you cannot lose your perceptual lock of this golf ball. Okay? Excuse me for a moment, we have a gentleman hitting in this direction. It could be dangerous. Okay? Ah, he hit a marvelous shot there. something our friend Dean Beeman would love to do. Good shots like that. Okay, so once you set up your motor set at the ball, when you are looking at if the lens of the camera is the golf ball, as I set into the ball with my golf club, the lens now is the ball. Well, when I turn my head to the right, my eyes are rotating to the left now. Okay, because I've got to keep the image of the if the golf ball is the lens here, I've got to keep the image in the center of my pupil. So now, if I turn my head at address position too much to the right, if I close my left eye, I can only see in this direction on my right eye. So therefore, if both my eyes are not on the image of the golf ball, I lost my foveal field. I lost my depth perception. Then matters get very complicated. You cannot play on a virtuoso level if you don't have both foveal fields in your right eye and your left eye focused on the golf ball. So look at the range of the ocular motor muscles of the eyes. As I set up at address here, I take the club back, I'm rotating to the right, going to stage 2, going up to stage 3, I'm turning my head. I've got to make sure both eyes stay fixated on the ball so that as my head turns to the right, the eyes are rotating to the left. Okay? But now when I start my downswing, as I come back to the ball, my eyes are also moving in the sockets at the top. They're here. But then as I move back, it's moving backward to keep the image of the ball in the center of the pupil. So the brain can monitor its feedback, not only for position orientation where it wants to move, but also for balance as well. Because the eyes are part of the 3 systems that control balance of the body as it just controls its balance systems. So as you rotate back to the ball, the brain still must have the feedback of where the ball is so those arms and limbs can move there, as well as the postural balance. So you're at the top, you're coming down here, bingo, the head's moving slightly to the left, the eyes are moving right in its socket. You come down at the bottom here, bingo, impact, right? Well, just after impact, until the club goes from stage 7, halfway up to 7.5, the head's moving left, and the eyes are moving to the right a little bit. Once you get to stage 7.5, then the whole system rotates to the left and up into the plane. Excuse me. I'm checking the battery to make sure the battery doesn't get too dry. Okay. So the foveal field is very important to be able to keep the image of the golf ball in the center of the eye. Another point here is the foveal field. It's really connected to the second radius called the head-neck radius lock. Because when you set up at address for the head-neck radius lock, remember all these radius locks are pretty much being established at the address position. It's almost part of your motor set as you go up the plane, down the plane, back up the plane again. You also have to be aware of the eyes. Once you set up at address, you don't want to be too upright with your head-neck radius lock, because now my eyes are looking straight downward, and I can see the ball here. I can only see this area. Okay, I cannot see my feet. You don't want to have your head up too high, because then the eye muscles must stretch downward, okay, to try to see the golf ball. That makes it too complicated. You want to be able, when you look downward, rotate your head down here so that your visual field, I can see, once I set up at address with my head positioned here, in this position for me, I can see my waistband, all this area around here, my visual field, as I have my head rotated downward. Okay? And that head position is maintained through top of swing, downswing, all the way, bingo, up into stage number 8. Okay. I'm very much aware here that this visual field is established here, and I don't want to get my head up here too high, where now the basic center of my visual field is up here now. Okay? It's up here now. I want to be able to move it downwards so it's in the center. Okay? Very, very, very important. Because if your head's up too high, when you come down to impact, when you come out of that, once your axis tilt, the head shifts and you get a blur spot to the location of the golf ball, and it's very hard for the brain to monitor its next step, where it's supposed to move to from the various sections. Okay? That's your second radius lock. Your third radius lock, very important one here, it's in the right elbow. The The right elbow is as you set up at address, once you go to section number 2, you have the flexion of the right elbow on the backswing. The hands rotate upward to 90 degrees from address to section number 2. The hands continue to cock. The right elbow continues to flex as it goes up. The right bicep is flexing upward. The right forearm, section 3, going up to section 4. You're aware of the bending of the right elbow and the path in which it goes away from the trajectory, in its trajectory around the rib cage. Okay? You're at section number 4 at the top. You're coming down to section number 5. You're aware of the straightening of the right elbow here, all the way down to straightening of the right elbow, down to stage 4, down to stage 5. Then as you rotate forward to the bottom, now the mass is moving downward. Okay, now you know why I was checking that battery, because it seemed that it was going to run out any second, and it certainly did. Please forgive me. Okay, I think I was at the point here discussing about the right elbow and the downswing here, how the right elbow, as you go, you notice there's no more distal rotation in the hands anymore once you get to section 3, going up to 4, okay? Once you're at section 3, you start to come down as the right elbow controls the movement of the club coming down the plane, okay? The path of the left arm, the right elbow bending controls that path, as well as the path of the club head coming up the plane and down the plane, back and down to section number 5 here, coming down to section 6. You're at section 4 at the top, coming down to section 5. The right elbow will take the club from section 4 right down to section 5. And then as the shoulders move forward, down the line, it's going to move the arms from section 5 down here to section 6 is going to be controlled not so much by the right elbow anymore, but the falling of the mass of the club head as it gets parallel down here to stage 6 as it moves outward, okay? So, but the right elbow's basic function is pretty much over with once it gets down to section 5, and then as it extends a little bit forward. You don't want to extend it too much out, too much more in this direction. It's still coming down and stretching out this way. Very close to the body, stretching out here. It's not going out that direction. It's coming down, right elbow's coming up here, down this way, okay? I'll put my right hand on it, see the path in which it's coming down, okay? You don't want to extend it this way because then it's going to throw the radius off. Very sophisticated movement here with the right elbow. And basically for me, once I take the club to the top and I come down like this, I basically have learned at what point the right elbow straightens out and it stays very passive. Then centrifugal force takes into stage 6, stage 7, going to stage 8, and back up. Okay, so that right elbow relationship is very important because it's going to control the plane of the left arm as it comes down to section 5, down to section 6, moving forward to section number 7. So, that right elbow of the radius lock number 3 is very, very, very important. At the bottom here, at impact, the right elbow is a couple inches from being straightened out. It fully straightens out at point 6, at stage 7.5 for stage 7, section 7.5 here, stage 8. So halfway up towards section 8, the right elbow is fully straightened out. Then the wrist starts to recock here again. Bingo. Okay? You don't want to have the full rotation of the hands turning over. You want to hang on to that baby, then come on up as if there's a blocking action. Okay? Right elbow straightens out. Centrifugal force throws it like this. Bingo, you come on up to stage number 8, then 9, then 10. Okay, the fourth radius lock is your waistband. It's called the upper torso waistband. As you set up at the address position, as you bend at the waist, this alignment is going to be maintained from section 1 to 2, up to 3, up to 4, down to 5. As you go down to section 6, now you have an extra tilt now to the upper torso waistband. Okay? This has to be maintained all the way up, all the way down. If I took it up to section number 4 at the top, you see I'm still, section number 4, see I'm still bent at the waist? Okay? Alright? So, you come down to section 5, down to 6, you get to 7. Just as you get to 7, you lose your upper torso waistband. What's the function of the upper torso waistband? Is to control the plane of the shoulders, up and down the plane. For me to set up here a dress, take the club to section 2, up to 3, up to 4, down to 5, down to 6, going to 7 is all being controlled now by the plane of the shoulders as it rotates here around the thorax, the ribcage, and the lumbar area. Okay? The plane of the scapula bone, the back of the shoulders, and are all going to be affected here by this waistband as you set up to a dress. Okay? Another point here to the upper torso waistband is you've got to be aware of, as well as a motor set, is once you set up at a dress, is that both scapula bones in the back here are stretched outward. It's almost like, you know how the Hulk would go like this? That's the basic thing you're doing once you're set up at the dress position. The muscles in your trapezius are stretched outward. Okay? They're outward this direction. Very important because it allows the muscle to be contracted to move around the axis much more readily. That's being established at your upper torso waistband radius lock. Okay? Okay, next radius lock is in your left wrist. You've got to be able to make sure you know the function of this left wrist, staying in a level position pretty much throughout the dress position. Then moving up to section number 2, it starts to become cocked, or radial deviation sets in. Here, going to section 3, going up to section 4. See how level it is, a little bit cocked, coming down to section 5, max 130 degrees cocked here, down to section 6, the right elbow starts to straighten out. Okay, the left wrist and left hand is pretty much neutral here. Then it moves, centrifugal force throws it forward, down the plane, and you want to make sure this stays pretty level. You don't want to start having the left wrist uncocked, going from stage 6, going to stage 7 and uncocking here, because as the hands go uncock away, the shoulders start coming up and the club is thrown into an orbit that we don't want to be dealing with. It creates too many errors, unfortunately. So once you get down to stage 6, going to stage 7, you got to make sure this hand stays in a neutral position, pretty level, not uncocked. This way the hand will continue to move right around its axis of the body. If the hands keep moving around the axis, then they're being controlled by the shoulders, therefore the club head is going to move on a proper arc. If you come down to impact, this uncocks and the club goes out that way, you don't have the pure rotation around the body anymore, centrifugal force, to throw the club in a good arc, also not only for accuracy of the plane of the orbit, but as well as control the rotation of the club face, and the planer rotates up to section number 8, all being controlled by this left wrist. Okay, so you've got to be aware of its role and its functions from stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, impact, especially stage 6, going to 7, and then going back up to stage 8. If the left wrist stays neutral or level, then the hand stays and it goes continuously around the axis of the body. When you get to stage 7, excuse me for a moment, please go right ahead. Okay, so at stage 6 here, left wrist is rotating forward now. It's not rotating uncocked in the ulnar deviation. It's moving forward down the line. It's moving forward with the rotation of the body here. As the hands start to recock from stage 7 to stage 8, the more they're cocked, the closer the hands will stay to the body here. Okay? All right? If I go up to the top, back up the plane, you'll see in slow motion the hands come right here. Okay? If I come down to stage 7 and the left wrist starts to uncock, look what happens here. Okay? The arms get too much away from the body. Okay, so excuse me. So that left wrist radius lock is very influential here at the bottom as you rotate up and down the plane. Okay. Next radius lock is your kneecaps. Now the knees, its relationship and its role is going to be controlled in its radius locks. Remember, the whole function of the radius locks is to be able to discuss the controlling the radius of the club head as it goes up and down the plane. Okay. After we discussed the left wrist, it's something that I had a discussion a few days ago about Zavin. Would it be possible to even include the hip girdle as a factor that can change the radius of the club head? And it's something that I felt that should be added as far as one of the radius locks, one of the last radius locks that are part of the golf swing. So after you finish the roll of the left wrist, now you have the radius lock of the hip girdles. So those hip girdles, they don't want to be sliding around, because if I release the club upward here in its proper plane from section 1 to section 2, if I slide my hip girdles, see how the radius of the club head is being altered here? Or if I come forward too much, okay? Those radius locks, we discussed them already, I think should be included as the next radius lock after the left wrist. So you have foveal field, head and neck, you have the right elbow, number 3, number 4 is your waistband, number 5 is number 5 I think should be your hip girdles here, 6 should be your left wrist, 7 should be the knees, 8 should be the radius lock in the ankles, and 9 should be your toes. So let's go ahead and add we know number 3 radius lock is your right elbow, the 4th radius lock is going to be your waistband, and the 5th radius lock will be now termed as your hip girdles. What are those hip girdles doing throughout the duration of going to the backswing on the forward swing, and how it affects the radius of the club head? I think we've included enough already in our discussion, the role of the radius lock, so please just incorporate that into its overall, your overall understanding of the radius locks in your motor set, and its role of the left foot to the right shoulder, what's going on with the radius lock in your hip girdle. So after we leave the hip girdle number 5 would be your left wrist. Let's see, 9, 8, 7, 6. 6 would be your left wrist now. Radius lock number 7 would be in your kneecaps. Now what is the kneecaps in its role? Once you set up motor set, your relationship to the ball here, when you take the club back, going from section 1 to section 2, basically you're changing the radius lock in your knees, left and right knee, and it's almost the entire address position, okay? So that radius lock in your kneecaps are constantly changing. You don't want to be changing, having your right knee straightened out, top of the swing where the hips are 45 degrees and your kneecaps are 45 degrees. It makes it too complicated to get back into the right knee to go flex back in here. It has a tendency, the joint wants to go out with the right shoulder. So you don't want your right knee to be straightened out. You want it to keep it braced and flexed so that the radius lock of the hip girdle does not slide forward to the right on the backswing. So it's going to change the arc of the club head and then the path in which the shoulders rotate up the plane and also around the plane. Excuse me again, I'm going to check the battery here. Looks like things are still functioning quite well. Okay. So, again, the radius locks in your knees, you know at what stages what they're doing as they're in a transitory mode. They're always moving all the time. You go from section 1 to 2 to section 3. Section 3, the knees have turned 20 degrees. Going up to section 4, going up to section 5, down to section, 4 at the top, down to 5, down to 6. Now stage 6, you're back at the address position. But when you go on to stage 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and 4, then down to 5, the knees have changed. The radius is to the ball. Okay? As you come down to stage 6, at the bottom down here, once you start centrifugal force sets in, you go to stage 7, you you've lost your radius in your left kneecap, also in your right knee, all the way going up into stage 8, 9, and 10, okay? The right knee in the downswing does not go this way, doesn't go outward. It's a problem that's been quite prevalent in some of the tour players and watching them over the years. And that seems to be conducive because when the player gets to the top of the swing, the more he rotates outward, then the right knee has tendency to go with it. So you've lost the radius of the hip girdles, how it slides. As the hip girdle slides, again being determined by the left foot, the range of it. As it slides, you see the shoulders drop. And as the right side drops like this, you want your right knee to be dropping inward into this direction. If the right knee stays perfectly straight and you try to flex, then your range of motion is very limited. But if the right knee drops, then the right shoulder can drop much deeper. Now, so that basically explains some of the principles of the right kneecaps. I'm sure that all of you will work it out to the degree of employing it at the right time and right place based on the length of your arms and your legs, and again, the idiosyncrasies of what feels comfortable for you. Okay, let's go down to the ankles. At the dress position, section 1, going to section 2, going up to section 3, going up to section 4, I have not altered my left ankle alignment. I don't want to be going section 1 to 2, then start lifting off the ground here. There is no logical, rational reason as to why you want your left ankle radius to ever be altered from section 1 to 4 all the way down to section 5. There is no reason whatsoever to lose the left ankle radius lock. Because if that comes off the ground like this, there's too many problems it creates. Do your yoga exercises, do your flexibility so that you can still get up to section 4 and have the flexion in your little rear end, the gluteus maximus, and across your back, your calf muscles in your lower back, so that you can have the range of flexibility, to have larger range of motion to move, so that left radius does not be altered. The reason why you don't want it altered, because if you set up at a dress and you go from section 1 to 2, now the left foot comes off the ground. Look where the left knee has moved. It's moved all the way inward. Now you're in section 4. Come back to section 5, and it's dropping. You get a whole range of movement going on. The muscles working and firing and stretching and contracting in the whole area. And it's very easy for that left hip to start rotating too early, too prematurely, instead of having the left knee straightened out. Left knee straightened, that's what frees the left hip. The tendency to come up here is to get the left hip to spin too early because of the left ankle radius being lost. And it seems to throw off the complex network and the symphony or the rhythm of the upper torso rotating through the ball, especially down at section 6 going to 7 with the lower torso. It's got to be timed just correctly coming through here. If I come up like this, then the hips fire too early, then the legs and everything gets out of rhythm. So that radius lock, we don't want to lose that. Once you get down from section 4 going down to 5, going to section 6, going to section 7, you're going to lose the radius lock in your right ankle. Now, the reason for that is because once you get down to section 6, going to 7, the left knee is straightening out, the left hip is rotating, and so that's what's pulling this knee inward and also losing your radius lock in your right ankle. Okay? But in your foot action, once you go down to section 7, going to 8, see the location of the right foot? All the way up to here, the right foot should still be staying inward. You don't want to get it perpendicular to the ground. You don't want to get your right foot out in that direction because the right shoulder has a tendency to keep rotating all the way around through the shot. If I hit a full shot here, taking it up, okay, see the position of the right foot, back and down. Same thing here, going up the plane, forward, okay, where it's bracing, keeping the right shoulder back. The right foot comes up, the tendency of the right shoulder to move forward. We don't want to do that because if this goes too prematurely, then the right shoulder will go. You've lost your axis tilt to axis tilt number 2, which is going to control the plane of the right shoulder as it moves around. Okay, very valid point here. If I swing it left-handed, you look at the left foot again as I take it up. Okay, left foot's got to stay down. Up. Okay. Here, I go up to the top. top. Okay. Relationship with the left foot must stay down. Okay. That's swinging left-handed. Let me check the battery again and see how we're doing. Okay, the battery seems to be working quite well. So that concludes our little seminar on motor set. I'll run again through motor set, the elements involved with establishing the framework to be able to send that ballistic missile called the golf ball in its orbit, as well as the arms and the shoulders. After motor set, I'm going to run through one more time very quickly in its order the head sections, and then in conclusion I'm going to spell out again the radius locks. So again, you have motor set established dual radius locks. One is a radius lock set up at address 20 degrees. The other radius lock takes place at the very bottom of the section, between section 5 and 6. Upper torso tilted to the right, wide tilted to the right, so that the right shoulder can move on the same plane going up the plane as the left shoulder went on the back swing. Okay, that dual axis tilt. Okay, number 2 is your radius lock. We discussed the importance of the radius locks. Third one is the fixation of the left foot alignment. Okay, we discussed the importance of the alignment number 1 of the left foot, position number 2 to position number 3. Number 1, it's more conducive. This left foot allows the range of the left hip of the hip girdle to slide to its maximum degree outside the left foot. When you hit your short little wedge shots, sandwich shots, bunker shots, chip shots, you want the left foot pretty much at right angles, unless you want to start knocking the ball down. Then you rotate your left foot out. Okay, so on the subject here of the radius locks of the left foot alignment, you want to know again what position you want to put this left foot in to be able to get the desired trajectory or intention of what you're trying to employ. The left foot again, 1, 2, 3 position will determine how much hip slide there is. The hip slide does not take place because of the left foot position. The left foot position controls the range of how much the hip girdle is going to slide. The hip girdle slides because of the tilting of the right shoulder and its path is starting in the downswing. Okay, once we leave motor set under the left foot, we move next to rotation of the body. Rotation going up the plane, down the plane. Keep moving forward to hold off the release down to section number 6, goes to 7. Keep your rotation up the body around the axis. Setting up here, up to the top, all the way back on through, back on down again. Okay? Rotation, 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 rotation. You want straight rotation up, straight rotation down, but at the top of the swing and the hip girdle slide over, it delays the rotation for the shoulders to come down, so everything can keep moving forward. You're still inside out, forward from section 6, going to section 7, then it rotates forward. If you rotate forward just like this, then the right shoulder is going to move too high through impact. You got to have the axis tilt controlled by the right shoulder, and the range of the axis tilt is going to be determined by the left foot. Very important, my friends. Okay, so we have rotation. Rotation up, rotation down with the axis tilt, momentarily delaying the rotation, then bingo, all the way up to the plane, okay? Rotation up, down to section 5, going to section 6, the axis tilt, allowing the club to still move inside out here, bingo, right up to section number 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now we have no release. You're going to keep the relationship, the left arm, the club shaft, 90-degree relationship, rotating from 4 down to 5, down to 6, until centrifugal force throws it forward, bingo, up the plane again, okay? Section 6, there's delaying your release at the bottom here, and centrifugal force moves it forward. I did not throw that club myself. I took the club to the top, from all the way down, bingo, okay? The throw out action of centrifugal force did it all for me. Okay, that's no release, and at the bottom, centrifugal force sets in there right at the very bottom of the swing. It rotates, goes the club forward on the 180-degree arc, coming in here, bingo, to this position, then straight on up. Okay? All being dictated by centrifugal force. let me check the battery again, please. It seems to be functioning quite well, Okay, we go to the 10 sections again. Address being here, setting up at address, wherever your center of gravity position again. Notice shift it to the left. Section 1, going up to section 2, the top. Section number 2, hands outside the right foot. Right elbow contracts first, the hands rotate the cock. Section number 3, left arm parallel to the ground, club shaft still on the plane line. Okay. Section 1, section 2, going up to section 3. The plane here of the club shaft going up is going to be controlled by the right elbow and keeping your radius bent at the ball. Okay. Radius lock. The right elbow keeps bending, the club keeps coming up the plane. Okay. Shoulders keep rotating, hips keep rotating. Down, coming on, back on down. Coming down to the bottom of the swing, right elbow straightens out, brings the hands right down the plane. Now you see how the hands start moving forward here? See how they stop moving this direction? As they start moving forward, this is why you have to have the axis tilt to keep the hands going downward. Then at the very bottom here, then it goes outward. So you still have a downward motion here. Okay? All being controlled by the right elbow. Then centrifugal force takes over and you move forward up the line. Okay, this is going from section 1, section 2, okay, going up to section 3, going up to section 4, okay, coming down to section 5, club shaft still on the plane, coming down to section 6, right elbow straightening out. You know the relationship with the shoulders, what they're doing. The centrifugal force sets in, throws it to 7, going from 7 over to 8, the hands stay recocked, right? Start recocking, keep the hands level all the way from stage 5 here, going to 6. You got to keep this hand left wrist level. Goes from 7. You lose your radius lock here. You keep your axis tilt coming up, coming down into stage 7. Going over to stage 8, the hands are recocking again. Then the hands recock, and then the elbows cock up upward. At stage 9, going down to stage 10. The elbows must recock forward. You keep the club moving very lightly. Going up, forward, and back down again. Okay? Okay, it looks like the battery's still functioning. So am I. With a little help from our water frames here. Okay. So, one of the things also when the section number 10, when section 4 through 10, you want to make sure you keep your axis tilt, keep the right foot back, your left knee is straightened out, your left hip is slid over just where it's just on the outside of the left foot like this. You're hitting the driver because the left foot is rotated around about 20 degrees. Okay? If I'm hitting a sand wedge and my left foot's at right angles, I'm going to be coming through here and I'm going to have my tilt in this direction. Okay. Now, the last thing we discussed is radius locks. We discussed that a little bit earlier. I'll run through one more time. You have the Foveal field, keeping the image of the golf ball in the center of the eye, maintained from section 1 all the way to section 4 down to section 7. At address, you don't want to tilt your head too much so that the right eye loses its visual field of the golf ball, because now you've lost your depth perception. If you lose your depth perception, as well as the relationship of information from the ball going into the brain through via the eye, you're going to run into severe complications again. The body's just going to become disoriented and the brain won't know where to move itself, move the other limbs, as the central nervous system runs on milliseconds, thousandths of a second, and the brain can make the compensation. So you need that feedback coming from both eyes to be able to monitor and postulate all the various range of motions of the various arms and limbs. Okay, so under radius locks again, we have the foveal field. Second radius lock is your head-neck lock that you have to concentrate to make sure that you have the proper visual field, as well as locking your head so that on the backswing your head doesn't come out, it doesn't rotate to the right, it doesn't drop, it doesn't move right or left in the backswing, up or down, or especially going from section 4 down to 5, down to 6, down to 7. Many players' head drop down to that plane. Very, 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 very difficult. You don't want to do that. So you're going to have to go very slow in a golf swing, very slow down to these various sections. Then let the centrifugal force throw the club out and just move forward. And don't let the head be dropping. Okay. All right. The battery still is working quite well. Okay. Third radius lock is the right elbow. Right elbow controlling at address. Going to section 2, going up to 3, going up to 4. Just controlling the whole radius of the hand. At section number 3 going up, if I straighten my right elbow too much, I've elongated the radius here. It's a different radius than I'm going to have down at the ball. The brain knows that. Okay? So we got to be aware of the right elbow coming up this way and right back on down. We're on a very sharp arc. Okay? Right elbow looks like it's coming up in this plane here, very close to the body. Right? Okay? You don't want to be going this way, then close and try to change it. You don't want to do that. Okay, so radius lock again of the right elbow is very crucial, influential. Address, section 2, going to section 3, going to section 4, right elbow bending, allowing the club to go up the plane, the hands up the plane. Section 5, parallel to the ground. Section number 6, look at the right elbow straightening out. The hands have not moved in their forward direction yet because you're waiting at the very bottom here for centrifugal force to do that for us. Aha. So, right elbow is controlling all of that. Right elbow on the downswing goes out this way, you're going to change the radius again. So, please monitor the right elbow. Okay, once you get by the right elbow, we're going to go to the waistband, the radius lock. Again, established at address 20 to 25% bent at the address position. This radius upward dorsal waistband lock controls the plane of the shoulders as they move up and down the plane, okay? In a very fast motion, all this rotation of the shoulders is being controlled by the right elbow, the left wrist, the waistband, the kneecaps, everything, the hip girdle is all being controlled. The radius of that club head. It's a very complicated network. It's amazing how good the golfers do play. It's a tribute to the innovation and the miracle of the actual brain and cerebellum and how all the frontal lobes and how they all work together as one complete package. So, okay, now you have the waistband. Okay, its importance. You come down to section 6, you go into section 7. Now, if the waistband controls the movement of the shoulders going up and down the plane, how do you keep the shoulders moving on the same plane from section 7 to 8? How do you control that? By the second axis tilt moving around forward up the plane angle again. Aha. That's where you can take the club up, okay, and have the excellent balance. The shoulders are still moving up the same plane angle. Okay? Going up. Right? Have the same degree of axis tilt. Right? So, you've got to know that this waistband axis tilt is going to be lost at section 7 coming up, and to keep the shoulders rotating the same plane angle, bingo. You've got to have the second axis tilt. How much this tilt is going to be determined again by left foot. How much the left foot is rotated out, how much is rotated in. If it's in, if I do the same swing, my left foot's at right angles to the target line, look what happens to my hip. See how down I am? See that? I can't control it. I must be here. But if the left foot is rotated outward 45 degrees, I'll take it up. Look at this. It looks as if I'm almost straight up and down. Okay? Hip girdle range does not go outward. Left-handed, if the right foot's at right angles, I'll take it up. Okay? See how the tilt? Don't want to do that with your long irons. Wedges, they're fine, not the long irons. Okay, the battery's still working. I only think we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left, so I'm in a kind of a hurry to conclude this tape for you. So radius lock waistband. Next radius lock is discussed here is the 5th radius lock, and that is certainly the hip girdle. Again, I've discussed it earlier, just recently, the role of the hip girdles. You want your right foot webbed out a little bit in the backswing. That'll help support you from sliding too much. If the right foot's at right angles to the backswing, the hip girdles will slide, have a tendency to do that. You don't want to be getting into that bad habit, because you're changing the radius of the club head as well as your center of gravity motion. And it's very complicated to control and to organize here, okay? So, please forgive me for having this noise in the background. I hope it's not hurting our volume of the sound that I'm trying to transmit to you. Okay? Very shortly he will be leaving. Okay, so here we are again. The hip girdle slide, you're going to control that range of motion by the position of your left foot, and that's going to determine what kind of flight you want to have on the ball. The flight of the ball is synonymous to where that left foot is positioned. The range of motion of the hip girdles is synonymous with where the left foot is positioned and the left kneecap. The left kneecap is a joint in between the hip girdles as well and the left foot. It seems that wherever the left foot is positioned, it's going to put the restriction on the left knee, which puts the restrictions on the hip girdles from sliding. Okay? Valid point there. So, you got to be aware of how much the initial movement of the hip girdle is determined by the right shoulder as it moves down the plane. If I move it right outward, I have no slide to my hips. If I move too downward, too much inside out here, then I have too much axis tilt. Don't want to do that either. There's an ideal relationship for the right shoulder to go to at section 5 here to move straight downward. Okay, it's moving down, it's still moving out simultaneously, and it's still moving forward. Okay, all has to be timed together in one package. Okay, you have left wrist going top of the swing, coming down at the bottom, keeping it in a neutral position. Stage 6, going to stage 7, going over to stage 8. If this stays level or pretty much cocked, the hands stay close to the body. They don't uncock and get away from the body. Okay? You want to keep it relatively close to the body as you move up the axis and up and over. Okay? I'm checking the battery again, still working. You have that left wrist radius lock is very important. Next stage is the kneecaps. We discussed that, where you know the range of the knees and its role of setting up at address. You're in a constant change in radius. Okay, like there's a dancing routine going on in your kneecaps. Okay, come on, baby. Okay, so you want to make sure that those both kneecaps, you know their role, their relationship, setting up at address, taking the club back, going up to section number 3 here. Make sure the right knee doesn't straighten out because it gives too much mobility to the right hip. If the hips turn more than 45 degrees, the shoulders will turn more than 45 degrees, and then the club will have a tendency to cross over at the top. Okay? If the right leg straightens out, it'll cross over at the top, and we don't want to be doing that. Also, one of the reasons why you don't want your right leg to be straightening out, okay, because of the possibility of crossing over, you don't want your right leg straightened out because here my center of gravity is in the middle of the foot. The right leg straightens out, the weight will shift back towards the heel. But now I have the weight on the center of my left foot, and so my right leg straightens out, my weight goes back to the heel. So I have a weight heel here, this should be here in the heel, then I got my weight towards the left, and as I bend at the waist, now my weight's going to shift to the toes if I cut my left foot off the ground. Too complicated. Please be aware of that, okay? So if you go to the top and right leg straightens out, and then left foot comes off the ground, so here you have the weight on your right foot, the top of the swing, over here on your left foot. The weight's distributed like this. Come on, okay? It's got to remain fixated right across this club shaft. By the time you go up and you come right back on down, you've got to keep it the center of the feet. If you don't keep it the center, the vestibular arcular response will take over, and you've lost the balance because you're trying to move around a fixated axis. Okay? You cannot stress the importance of not having your weight changed by coming out of your waistband radius lock, by having your right knee go this way and the hip girdle slide over here. Okay? They're all linked together, and the easier it is that the central nervous system does not have to make any compensations from the top of the swing down through 6 through 7 through 8, so that you look like you just have one whole completed swing where the club just goes up the plane, back down the plane, straight forward. Okay? Go ahead. And you set up and address your left hand, and it goes up the plane, forward, right here. You don't want to be taking the club and your weight, right leg straighten out, weight going to the heels, left foot coming off the ground, then switching this way, then coming around, right? I'm checking the battery, to try to develop from young prodigy or young talented athlete on the PGA Tour or even in the amateur ranks and trying to get to the more accomplished states of a virtuoso or being just a very accomplished player. You got to be aware of these rotations and the segments of the rotation and how one relationship affects the other. As you get down to stage number, the radius lock down to the ankles, again, as I said earlier, you don't want to be coming out of it on the top of your swing because you don't want the left kneecap to be changing. Okay. The left kneecap is, the left ankle is very, very important in its role. From going to the top of the swing, you don't want to be doing that. You got to keep it locked, stable. Going up, down to impact, left leg straightens out. You lose the radius lock once the club shaft goes from 6, going right to stage 7. It's just starting to come off the ground. From 6, going straight to 7, slightly coming off the ground, going all the way to 8. The right foot stays back and down. Okay? There's your radius lock. Okay. What I'd like to do now, that kind of says most of the things we've learned right now. I certainly hope that this will be very helpful and beneficial to you. And I would like to hit a few shots here now, right and left-handed, just give you a general feel of what I'm trying to incorporate, what I'm doing in my crosswing, so you can actually see the action in motion. I'm going to hit some shots here right through the camera, around the camera. I'm going to move the camera into position to my right as well as to my left, so I'm going to hit a few shots here right-handed for you. All right. We have here the driver here. I'm going to hit this to the right of the camera a little bit. Okay, I'm set up at motor set. I've got the driver, my left foot turned out 20 degrees. I'm going to be aware of I've established my radius lock. I'm aware of just basic rotation up the plane and right back down through the plane, going through the motor set, going through the radius locks, going through each one of the stations that is going to be controlling the movement of all the limbs and the body, as well as controlling the axis tilt, etc., etc. So here's I'm going to hit 2 drivers, 2 5-irons, and 2 wedges. Okay? So again, here I am. I'm just aware of setting up to the ball, my left foot position. Okay? I'll move this over so make sure you got me in the entire picture here. Okay? Alright? Aware of just priming myself, tuning these muscles at a dress position, getting a little bobbing and weaving so that I have a better reaction time like a tennis player. Somebody's going to serve you the tennis ball. You get a little tuning and priming of the muscles to have a reaction. It seems to set the whole motor set of what I intend to do in a more relaxed mode. Okay? So here we are at a dress, aware of my left foot fixation alignments. Okay? Just aware of rotation, club goes down. Okay? Bingo. Perfect. Little fade. See the axis tilt? Okay. Try it again. One more. To the right of the camera. Okay. Where am my feet positioned? How much the left foot is opened up? How much the right shoulder goes down to have the second axis tilt? Bingo. The rotation straight forward. Okay. Where of rotation, no release. A little hook there. Alright? Here I'm going to hit a little bit left of the camera so you got a little different view. Okay, aware of priming everything, aware of the rotation, coming through impact. Okay, one more. Alright, aware of the setting up, just pure rotation upward and downward. Making sure I keep my foveal locked all the way from section 1 through 7. Once I get down to section 7, halfway forward to section 8, hands are recocking again. Okay, bingo, then I move forward. I lose my foveal lock. Let me check the... Oh, the camera's still working. All right. Let me go to some 5-irons here. How about 2 4-irons? Okay? One left of the camera, one right of the camera. Okay? Same basic relationship. Where my left foot, how much I want it turned out. Okay? Rotation up. Right through the shot. Back on down to section 10. Okay? Set. I'm going to hit a little bit right of the camera here. Same thing. Where my left foot position. Rotate it up. Right through the shot. Up to section number 10. Little axis tilt, right? Okay. I'm going to hit 3 wedge shots here. Let me make sure this okay, the lens is still working. I'm going to hit 3 wedge shots. One with a pitching wedge. I'm going to hit it right over the camera's lens. I'm going to have my left foot at right angles to the target line, plane line. I'm going to take it up. Okay, see the tilt here? See the tilt? Not here. Tilted because of the range of my left foot. Bingo, and up. Okay? Which is going to be more conducive to a more upright golf shot, a plane angle for pitching wedge. Okay? Here. Alright, nice soft wedge, 105, 110 yards. Okay, let's go ahead and hit a sand wedge. Let me show you pitching wedge here in the direction going to the left over here. Okay, my left foot braced. Okay, relax is tilt to the right. Let me hit a 4-iron to the left over here so you have a little bit of a view of the side angle. Okay. Once I've set into it, okay. And let me hit 1 driver in that direction. Okay. Okay. Okay, the lens is still working. Let's hit a couple sand wedges right over the top of the camera.